Saraswatye Namaha. Namaste, welcome. My name is Sarah Singh, and I am the host of Heart of Shakti Paths, where we explore the mystical path of Kundalini Awakening. Today we have a special guest, Leanne Jones, with us from New Zealand, who has gone through a lot in her childhood, her lifetime, and is now in the process of working through the energy and exploring a lot of healing modalities, both for herself and to also share with others. So, Leanne, could you just start me from the beginning? Give me a little brief, background story of your life.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I start from like childhood or?
I like starting from childhood. I feel like it just paints us like a whole picture of the story, the timeline, where you are to how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. Okay. So childhood, and when I say this, the awareness of my childhood experience has only the past couple of years come into my awareness. Like if you'd have asked me like a couple of years ago, how was your life, Leanne? I'd have been like, oh yeah, so great, like so amazing. But I actually grew up in a an abusive household. So I grew up in a household where my dad was physically abusive to my mum, and my mum was very much in a traumatized state um, from ever since I was born. And we had certain periods where we were in what they call battered wives home in the UK, like where people go where they've been battered and they go for protection essentially. So I had quite a a challenging childhood, and then my mum has four children bringing up by herself, and we grew up in council estates. So they're kind of poverty stricken areas in the UK, and we grew up in poverty, so never had much in the way of things or possessions or money. And I was actually a gymnast. So I from the age of 11 I started doing gymnastics, and I was a pre-elite champion gymnast. So I was nurtured from a young age into performance. And then I went from gymnastics to dancing, and I was also a champion dancer as well. So I had lots of success with dancing. And then I moved on to employment. So when I was 19, my mum was like, Leanne, you're going to have to get a job. We don't have enough money to pay your bills. And I got a job working at this steel factory where I live, this big, mega dangerous factory. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so unsafe. I need to protect these people. So I started studying a qualification in the UK, which is all around safety, like managing safety within businesses. And I had a dream and I had a vision that I was going to go into businesses and protect people and look after them and keep them safe. And I did. So by the age of 22, I was working for a large manufacturing business with over 800 people, two different sites in quite a high level strategic position. So then I started that career path, and I consistently was on the path of personal development. So I was always studying, always learning something new. I'm one of the most qualified people for health, safety, environment in the UK. And then about 5 years ago, I started to suffer with panic attacks and anxiety. And what I didn't realize at that moment in time was I was just getting very emotionally triggered by my external reality and my external environment. And it all linked back to childhood trauma. So I started from that point on this journey back to wellness. And on my journey back to wellness, I started to tap into meditating. And I started to do a morning journal of gratitude and affirmations. So I really started to want to spend time just by myself meditating. And yeah, that's kind of like how my life looked up until the past couple of years. And I've done a lot of traveling as well. Like I've traveled over 30 countries in the world and gone to different places. And a lot of these places I went by myself as well. And then I look at some of my old posts on Instagram where, like, 7, 8 years ago, I'm saying, like, we are all one. Only fears, ego, and belief holds us back. And I'm like, oh, I think I've been quite, like, spiritually tapped in for some time, but not actually, like, consciously aware. Um, so, so yeah, then a couple of years ago, I broke up with a partner, and that started to become a catalyst for a lot of trauma coming to the surface.
Right.
So I started to have a series of like week on week shifts of like trauma coming to the surface about things that I'd experienced in my life that I'd never felt before. And these like really big, massive, like somatic experiences of things coming to the surface, and all of this like emotion just coming out of me. And I experienced that for approximately 1 year. And I would go to the studio often and dance, and I started to notice that like my hands started to get like really like floaty. And I was like, oh, that's new. That's interesting. Like maybe I'm just becoming a better dancer with age. And then I started doing these random like yoga postures and positions, and I was like, oh, interesting. Just not thinking anything of it until I, when I was meditating, my head just started swaying, and I was just like, oh, like, what's going on? Like this is really weird. And then I started having these like experiences where I was like walking along the beach, and then my heart just burst open with all of this love, and all of these tears started coming out of my face, and I was like, what is going on with my body? Like it's really, really like freaking me out.
Yeah.
And then I would just be in the bath, like randomly, and I would just start stroking my arms, like, and my face with all of this love. And I was just like, this isn't me. So I started having these really strange experiences. And also, some of these experiences, they weren't like pleasant.
Mm.
So, like, obviously, the trauma was very hard to come to terms with. But at that stage, I just thought it was like a psychological thing that I was working through, like very logical, or I've experienced something bad and it's coming up. Like that makes sense to me.
Mm.
But then it was like I started having that much energy moving through my body that all I could do was go to work. As soon as I'd finished work, my body would be like buzzing, like, ugh. And then I'd have to get a bath just to like calm my body down because it was so like, ugh. And I was like, what the hell is going on with me? So I started to like research a little bit, and I ended up going to the doctors. So I know a doctor who's got a general practice, and I just said to him, "Look, I'm experiencing these things, and I don't think they are something that somebody medical can help me with. Like I really believe that if I go there, they're going to try and medicate me or put me on something that I don't really need. I think there's something mystical going on."
Mm.
And he said to me, like, Leanne, go to the doctors, but just say to them, like, you want some, like, baseline tests or some, like, urine samples, some blood samples and stuff like that, just so you can put your mind at ease and make sure there's nothing sinister going on. So I did that, and the results came back, and I was completely fine. And then I reached out to a Kundalini activation practitioner just to understand a little bit more about it and see if she could help me with the process. And the first one-to-one session that I had with her, the energy was already like rife within my body. Like I lied down and my body was like, whoosh. It was just like moving like God knows what. And I was like, okay, like this is new. This is new. And then after that point, I just realized I didn't need anybody to do that. Like I literally, all I had to do was lie down on the floor,
Yeah.
and this energy would just move through my body. And I would have like these different like kriyas, so like my body would just jibe in for a point of time and stuff like that. So and yeah, that wasn't easy because I kind of like gaslighted myself
Mm.
and was gaslighting my own experience because in the Western world, things like that aren't possible.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any spiritual friends. I don't have any spiritual friends. I'm a corporate businesswoman. That all of these things are happening to me. And then I had people around me like, are you sure you're not just making it up?
Oh.
And I'm like, are you joking? And it that was so hard because I felt like so alone in
Yeah.
this experience.
It's
And
alienating at first. It
yeah,
is because you don't have like the framework to really understand it. You like, and it's just it is such an alien foreign experience, and it's like, who do we talk to about this? And that was one of like the biggest reasons for me to create this entire podcast because I'm like, if I could have been while I was going through that experience, like be listening to something like this, imagine like how much more supportive I've been. Those like early stages, you're like, what the fuck is happening to me?
yeah, yeah. Like my mom would literally walk out my front door and I'd be lied under a tree, half naked, just moving my body, like doing kriyas, like trying to ground to the earth and just let this energy do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And then like everyone's around me like, is this girl okay? And then I'd have like these emotional expressions, but like I was nurtured into an environment where we don't cry, we don't
Mm.
express emotion. So I've got all of this emotion coming out of me, and then everyone around me judging my experience to be wrong, or there's something wrong with Leanne because she's got all of this emotion. And then I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that emotions are okay. And like it's safe for me to feel emotions because I've never felt safe to feel that before.
Mm.
So all of this like these beliefs about safety and about me being safe in the world, like they were just completely like they'd gone out the window. Like, and for a period of time it was quite traumatizing for me because there was nobody that I could turn to that was emotionally intelligent enough to to validate my experience and what I was going through. It was just kind of like because they don't believe it to be true,
Mm.
it's not true. Do you know what I mean? Like me going through what I was going through felt like a threat to them. So it was a very much journey that I had to go through by myself. And I'd literally, at some periods of time, I'd have that much energy moving through my body. I'd just go to the woods and I'd just barefoot put my bum on a tree, like my root chakra, putting it directly to the tree, like, come on, ground me, help a sister out. Because I had so much like energy flowing through my body.
Mm.
And then I had lots of like orgasmic, blissful feelings, like to the point where, like, for 7 hours straight, having like full body orgasms. And I was just lying on my bed, like, okay, what am I meant to do with this? And it was mental. I was just like, I don't know how to like come to terms with what's happening to me. Like just randomly having these like full body orgasms from nowhere. I was like going to the gym and like, oh, okay, like just experiencing all of this stuff. So then I started working with like a yogi master from India, and I would dial in every morning before work, and that's when I started to learn about breathwork techniques and stuff like that, about masculine and feminine energies and all of these different things. And it was like training to become a cat practitioner. And that just helped me really to understand about breath work and the power of breath work and chanting. So I would spend like nights just chanting to like certain parts of my body and stuff like that, and like experience some really profound states in meditation where like I could literally feel like every organ in my body like whilst I'm meditating. And I was just like, wow, like this connection to like my body is just so beautiful. Like I can literally speak to my organs. So, so there was that experience, and yeah, then I started to like feel like the where I was at in terms of like my career and stuff like that just is like wasn't serving me. And just the environment, I became so sensitive to energies, and my behavior started to change. And like as the energy started to move through my body, I was so in my like feminine energy that I started to feel quite helpless, because my masculine energy was not coming to the party. I'd spent like 11 years corporate businesswoman in her masculine power doing all of these things. And then I'm just this feminine woman that's just like melting all over the place. And yeah, and I felt like I couldn't protect myself at certain like points and periods. And I just believe that was certain old belief systems, you know, just kind of being thrusted into my energy field for me to work through and alchemize. But I didn't necessarily have the know-how of like, I wasn't conscious of all of these things at the time that were happening to me. I would go in like periods where I just get an idea in my head, and like I just become like obsessed with this idea. So I did this process where I was like clearing my house full of like all the energetic things and stuff like that. And then I looked at all of my old certificates and I was like, well, that's not me anymore. Bin. I just like nearly put 11 years worth of qualifications in the bin. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, what the hell, Leanne? Like, you can't do stuff like that. And I just think like lots of like unconscious aspects of myself just started to show that I'd never like been there before. So like, you know how they say like the feminine needs containment by like the masculine and stuff like that. Like my masculine was not coming online. My masculine was like, nope. And then one day I was just at work and I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I just went into I just went into my manager's office and I was like, I'm leaving. And I know, I know. I started last year. I started doing a lot of events in the community to help people in the community, like mindset events and stuff like that. And when I told people that I was leaving my job, they were like, oh, well, we could see it coming. I was like, well, I'm glad you could, because I couldn't. It just kind of like came out of me. And yeah, I set up my own business doing like mindset coaching. So I now I've created my own like corporate mindset model to go into corporate business and teach about the impacts of childhood trauma on stress and anxiety in work.
Wow.
And also I did more training on CAP, so trained as a CAP practitioner again. So like my intention is to be like part holistic, part corporate, because I really want to make a difference in terms of changing the cultural aspects of corporate business. I just feel like there's lots to be changed there. And then Kundalini activation, no one where I live knows what it is, like not a single person. So I want to help raise awareness for what is actually out there, because I believe that there'll be lots of people in the Western world experiencing this that may be labeled as bipolar or schizophrenia or
Mm,
getting told they've got some kind of neurological disorder when
mm,
actually it's their Kundalini energy raising. And it just like, it breaks my heart to think and believe that there is so many people going through this kind of experience and they're getting given this medication and they're being made wrong, or it really like breaks my heart. So I hope to, especially where I live, to raise the awareness of Kundalini activation and the process as a whole. Like the feminine energy of the world is rising, is going to rise in everyone, not just me. So we
mm,
need to be like the gatekeepers, the supporters, the nurturers. um and where I'm at now is like, if you watch my body move, God, girl, it is like so fluid. So, like, as this energy has like purified and moved through me and like got rid of all the old trauma and density,
mm,
like now and again, I would feel like my spine just like crackling and crackling. And I was like, is my spine gonna? And I'm so floaty. Like if you when I watch myself dance, I'm like, oh my god, that is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen, because it is so like floaty and pure and beautiful. My body, the way that my body moves right now is just incredible. And I'm coming to terms more with my experience now. Like, I know I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my ego, I'm the awareness. But it was hard for me when I realized how much trauma that I had that I wasn't aware of. I lost trust in myself
mm,
because I thought all of these experiences have happened. And the amount of times when I've said yes to something when I really meant no, and I just started to lose trust in who I was, and now I'm starting to regain and trust in the divinity within me. Like trust, I am the awareness and I choose. And if I want to say no to something, I say no. Like my subconscious is not in control, like I
mm.
am. So I would say that my experience as a whole has been a journey. It has been a full on journey. And there's been some like peak beautiful moments where I would never ever change it. But there's also been some like dark like parts of what I've experienced. So I think it's important people understand the massive like breadth of the experience. Like, yes, I can experience complete states of ecstasy like nothing I've ever felt before, to the point where I think I can't possibly feel any better. And then it goes even higher, and I'm like, whoa. But then also equally, I have the dense moments where I think, God, like the level of pain that my body is feeling right now, like, can that get any worse? And then it goes even lower.
Mm,
So it's like on a scale. Um, yeah, I can reach these really high states, but I can also equally be in the density and like it's like accepting and not judging that experience as well, and like making
yes,
that one. Yeah. Sorry, I
that's,
felt like I went on a mad rant there.
oh my gosh. Something that I wanted to quickly go back to that you mentioned was when you're having this experience, how you felt like people were not validating you, and just
Mm,
sort of this sort of transcendence that happens. I know for me personally, I also grew up in an unnurturing household, and definitely as a child I didn't feel safe, secure, supported, and it made me, through like my own trauma, develop a certain like level of really crippling social anxiety and like imposter syndrome.
mm,
And so then when we start getting into these like mystical foreign experiences and then becoming like open about it, it's like you're enhancing that times 1,000, but then you're making it like like our sense of being like an imposter is our superpower in a way, and we completely like transcend and like stop caring about any sort of type of judgment
Mhm.
about how anyone like thinks about us, and just completely express ourselves authentically without any filtration. And it's just one of the most liberating feelings, because I feel like so many people in society, like they're all struggling and suffering with this, like wondering, am I going to be loved for like who I truly am if I just express myself, if I don't fit into any of these like boxes, and I'm just fully
Mhm.
myself as I am, and I can just be that way openly without any sort of censorship, like will I still be accepted? And like, and then once we try it and we find our tribe, and it might not be demographically in our physical location, it's surely not mine. And again, that's part of the motivation of creating this, is finding people from all corners of the world who have experienced this and connecting, and be like, there is a community beyond location. It's like an
Yeah.
astral plane community
Yeah.
of awakeners.
Yeah. That's so
um,
true as well. And I think like I'm still on the journey. Like there's still parts of me that judge my like
mm,
typical high performance people that have grown up in high performance households are high
mm,
performers because they have a lot of fear. They feel failure, they feel not being good enough. So because of that fear, that results in them performing to a high level. So there's still parts of me that do judge, and I'm working on it. Like I'm working on it, and I'm becoming more. I'm surrendering more. Like I do have a therapist who went for a Kundalini Awakening over 20 years ago, and he's like, Leanne, you just need to surrender. I'm like, Jay, it's easy for you to say. But I'm getting there. Like I had a huge ego, like a huge ego, and it's like layer by layer, it's starting to slowly soften
yeah.
and dissolve. Like a week ago, I started speaking light language, and when I say start speaking light language, it was bellowing out of me. It was like, "Ooh." I sounded like a bloody siren, and I was like, okay, this is new. This is a new experience. And that like I'm just consistently shocking myself all of the time, like with the things that I'm learning about my core essence. Do you know what I mean? Like this,
Mm,
the truth of who and what I actually am is women are powerful, man. Like we are so gifted and strong, and like there's so much that we can offer. It's beautiful.
it is.
Mm.
And it's completely very it's opposing of this sort of this patriarchal view
Yeah,
that we were brought up in. Like when we come
yeah,
into like Shakti power, and it's all divine feminine force, that's so powerful. It's incredible.
yeah, yeah. It's absolutely crazy, and uh, it just like when I see women now, I'm just in awe. I'm just like, wow, like you don't know how magnificent you actually are, and men as well. Like I have a lot of like reverence for like men in general. Like when I see people, I just typically call them like my brothers and sisters now, and I love that. Like, peel back the bullshit, and I'm just like, "Hi, brother," and like, it's like you said, like you start to find your tribe. So the
Mm,
people that aren't for you just kind of like end up being out of your reality, and you magnetize these people in that are more aligned with you. And I
yes.
would probably say like 70% of my like external reality now are people that understand oneness. They might not feel it the way that I feel it, but on a logical level, they understand there's something bigger. They understand they're part of like a bigger puzzle. So
It's
that's
beautiful.
beautiful for me that I'm experiencing that now. And
Yeah.
I see like evidence in my reality of, so for example, in England, we have the NHS, which is the National Health Service for like hospitals and services and stuff like that. And the girl that I'm doing a training with at this moment in time has just won a contract to go into the NHS to do sound healing. The
Wow.
world is changing. Like our like National Health Service is accepting that sound healing is a modality that can help people. And I'm like, that's our like health service. So like people are like, the world is changing. Like we are waking up and Shakti's doing her thing. And yeah, we're entering is at the age of Aquarius, where people are gonna start like waking up, and I'm just ready for it. Like I'm ready for people to wake up to their divinity.
That's
Hmm.
incredible.
Yeah.
So, what is your sadhana like now, given everything you've been through? How do you feel like where you're at in the journey? And lastly, I would just ask, is there anything that you wish you had done differently, or any sort of advice you would give to your younger self when you were going through the initial stages?
That's a good question.
Sorry,
Uh,
there's so many in one in there. Just
yeah.
a
So
bundle of questions.
my daily practice at this moment in time is I'm getting up, cold shower, nervous system, shocking the nervous system, and then I will do some breath of fire every day, maybe just about 5 minutes every day, nothing too intense, and then meditate for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then I have a grounding practice, and then on the daily, like I am literally I'm journaling and I'm reprogramming, like reparenting myself. So like the option that my therapist says is like I can just be in total oneness, which I can, and I do reach them states often. But this I still have a very not helpful egoic mind. So the way that I view it is I'm spending a lot of time working on my subconscious beliefs so that when the ego mind does kind of interfere, that it's something of love. Do you know what I mean? Like my inner narrative, my inner voice is that of love. So I spend day like morning journaling, even sometimes in the night journaling at this moment in time whilst I'm still in the what I'd call this like the integration process while I'm still in the integration process. And I do a lot of meditation, but like parenting meditation. And what I mean when I say that is like I will imagine I'm just speaking to different versions of me at different points in time. And I'm coaching and educating myself with new ways of being. So, for example, like little Leanne could not make mistakes in her household. She was shamed for making mistakes. And I have a real visceral response to failure, like real visceral. Like my psychosomatic connection now is absolutely crazy. And what I mean when I say that is how my body responds to my thoughts. It responds very, very like vigorously.
Mm,
So I will imagine like speaking to that version of me and just saying like it is safe for you to make mistakes. Like making mistakes is how you learn and grow.
yeah,
And I'll just keep repeating that, keep repeating that. So I'm programming the subconscious so that eventually it impacts my nervous system and
that's
hopefully
beautiful.
that shame. Yeah, like there's not really much of anything now that gets past my conscious awareness because my connection to my body is that deep now that when I say something that's not kind to myself, I feel it. If I'm being cruel to myself, my body tells me that wasn't nice. So I have to be very, very like careful, yeah, like with my inner narrative because it would literally like cripple me.
It's incredible what you're describing it has a very parallel relationship to sort of this awareness that came like with working with the energy, with working with Shakti, because it's something within us and it is us, but at the same time, we can speak to it and we can connect to it as though it's separate, which is
Mm.
like kind of mind blowing. But then you're sort of translating it into also speaking to yourself, your wounds, different versions of yourself in a way that heals and sort of modifies it into a way that's going to align with your higher self. And I've definitely found myself doing that too. And I feel like it's maybe just something intuitively that
Yeah,
happens.
it does happen. I like even before I knew about Kundalini, I was doing deep transcendental meditations. No one taught me to do it. I would go to an event and I would become the observer of the event. I would flip my perspective. I would observe my perspective. Then I would observe their perspective. And then, honestly, like no one thought I was just doing this stuff in the bath. And
Yeah.
like it was, yeah, and then when I did it, it would liberate energy. Like I'd feel it. I'd feel the healing happening, and I was like, "Oh, this feels good. I'm going to keep doing it." But it's like, as spiritual beings, we can, if we have enough spiritual discipline, like escape the egoic mind. Like we can do that, but then that takes a lot of willpower, it takes a lot of presence, and we're in a world that unless you go off into the mountains, then um, we're, in my opinion, we're here to live in a physical reality. So it's like working with your subconscious, like it's your friend. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you're making your ego your friend. You're making your ego your ally, so that your ego can go into physical reality and make the world a better place.
I
So
love that. Oh my
befriending the
God.
ego. Yeah.
I see it like a child's too,
Yeah.
because of my worship with like Mother Callie. I feel like she sort of talks to me like that, and then like I'll internalize the way that she's communicating, and then I'll
Mhm.
then in turn communicate with myself and like keep myself in check. And sometimes I don't even know, like, is it her? Is it me? Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
But that's just it's just so healing and powerful. And wow, and I love just how some of these things they just sort of intuitively they came to me.
Yeah, they just happen. And would I do anything differently?
I do have another question though, which might even be
Got
better
it.
than the do anything differently. So because a lot of people struggle with this, I've gone through periods of struggling with this, although now I'm a little bit more stabilized given like really, higher responsibilities in life and all these things. But what do you do to stabilize your own energy if it gets too intense? Like you're going through like 8 to 9 or more hours of work, like you're containing yourself.
That's a great question. I would say that having a regular practice, like stable practice that you continue to do, like a
Mm,
structure of the different things that you're going to do every day in order to balance yourself and balance your energy. I think community, like with people that are also experiencing it, allows you to accept parts of you that you might not have been able to accept, because a
mm,
lot in my opinion, a lot of the pain is resistance to the experience. It's like denying your own experience. um Having a therapist that has gone through the process has been massively helpful for me, because sometimes just having that person that can reflect back to you, like, this is normal, I've been there like 20 years ago, like, it's a beautiful experience. And you can look at somebody who's got to the end goal and who's integrated it into their life and is living like in their truth and in their purpose now and in alignment. Like, that is so like grounding in itself. So I would say that and having plenty of time by yourself so that you can be with how you're actually feeling, and assessing are the people that are in your life the right people to be around you whilst you're going through what you're going through, because you shift in consciousness that much that the friends that you developed when you were in a certain state, like, they don't resonate with you anymore. And if you imagine, it's like you've got like a box of like crabs, I'll call it, and you're like trying to get out of this box of crabs. You're trying to climb out, and they'll want to pull you down back into this bucket because they'll want you to be the person that you were when they knew you. So it's like having the bravery to let things go that aren't serving you, that are no longer in alignment with your new path. Like Shakti is guiding and taking you to more truth. And it's like letting go of the things that aren't, because they will make, not intentionally, but they will make your journey more difficult just by nature of you not being who you used to be anymore.
Mm.
And they were like, but I want that person back. And you're like, but I'm different.
Yeah.
I lost so many friends in the process because just some of the things that they used to say to me was very dysfunctional. And when you start to embody high levels of consciousness, you can notice what's healthy and what isn't very easily.
Yes. You start
And
loving yourself, and
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
I deserve better than this. And
yeah. And it's hard when you've been friends with people for 10, 12 years that were friendships built on dysfunction, friendships that
mm,
they've had a very dysfunctional life, and that's why you actually gelled. And like letting go of them kind of things. And some practical things I would say, like cold water therapy has been helpful. Epsom salt baths, my absolute savior. Epsom salt baths, absolutely. I bath a lot. um Grounding to earth, if you can, direct skin contact as well. So like if you could put your root chakra to earth, then I would try that as well. Like I've definitely used that. Or if I'm feeling like a blockage in a certain part of my body, I will put that in my, I'd go to the beach and just put my tummy on the beach. I just like lay flat, lift my top up and just lie there. And I just speak to like the earth. I'm like, please can you help me? What else? Somatic movement.
mm,
Move in your body, but like move it in the way in which it wants to move. Like I feel like Shakti naturally, she knows how to move. Of course she does. And it's like I
you can't
don't,
stop moving.
yeah, I don't necessarily subscribe to certain yoga postures. Like, I feel like I'll be a yoga teacher in the future, but it'll be called like yoga, because I feel like it's more about intuitively moving your body in the way that your body wants to move, and connecting people to them parts of themselves, like feeling to what feels good and allowing the body to move in a way that feels comfortable and good for them. So I think that if you can, and if even if you had to like go see like a dance teacher, just to give you that initial confidence to move your body. Like I was obviously a champion dancer when I was younger, so I don't really feel any shame or judgment towards dancing. But I know a lot of people actually do. So
Mm.
it's like if you were trying to like build the confidence, go to like a dance class initially, and then when you've done that and be like, oh, this isn't so bad, and then just see how it wants to move. Shaking, twerking is a good one, and that like twerking. I'm the best twerker in the entire planet right now. I swear to God. At one stage, I'll just share this because why not? At one
Yeah.
stage, the energy was moving my body in a way I was just lying on the floor humping it. Like that's how the energy wanted to move, because it was like moving like my the base of my spine, just moving it back and forward. So I was just humping the floor at one period of time. And it's it's just how the spine like naturally wants to, in my opinion, like it's how it wants to move to liberate energy. And it's like,
No,
remove
it
that shame that people have said, like twerking is bad, or it's dirty, or it's this. And I just go into the gym and I'll just go and look in the mirror. I'll just stand there like twerking for like 20 minutes because it feels good for my body. It feels good. And it just doesn't really, many people would have shame for that. And I just got over that very quickly because
incredible.
it's how my body wants to move. So like, yeah. So there would be like my techniques, and also like I'll just say this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini Awakening and Kundalini energy, they are very, very real things. These are real experiences, and it's available to everyone. It's not just available to me, it's not just available to you, it's available to absolutely everyone. And unfortunately, especially in the Western world, we're a society that is very uneducated in certain aspects of like human psyche and the human body, and it's limited. And it's like knowing that if you are listening right now to this podcast and you are doubting your own experience, I'm telling you that a Kundalini awakening is a real thing. It's a real experience. You are going through this. You are not crazy. And you will experience many different things through this journey. And none of it is wrong. None of it is bad. It's just different. And it's like learning to love and accept all parts of you, the unique aspects of you, and not making any part of you wrong. Like not one part of you is wrong. Like the other day, like anger, I had like anger in my stomach, and little girls are nurtured like good girls aren't angry. Good girls don't be angry. So I had this belief system that was preventing me from feeling this deep anger within my body. And actually, we can be everything. Like we can be everything that we want to be. We can be angry. We can be nasty. We can be liars. We can be not very kind. We can be lovely. We can be horny. We can be it all. And
Yes.
like allow that, because there will be times in your life that maybe you need to not be the nice person.
Yeah.
And you will be the most powerful individual when you can be all aspects of yourself without judgment, without fear, and just stand there in your goddess vibes.
Oh my gosh. Wow, what an incredible close. That was powerful. I really I felt that.
You were like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like that's like that's a fairly recent thing for me actually, is like stepping out of, I don't need to be this box. I can be all of these aspects of myself and
Yeah,
completely be like like feel zero shame about it. And it's just
yeah,
incredible. It's incredible.
yeah,
And
you're
everyone
powerful.
everyone deserves to feel it.
Yeah,
Everyone.
yeah, exactly. I love it.
It's just a lot of work to get there. Just like a very
Yeah.
anyways. Well, thank you so much. This has been incredible. And you're just a breath of just light and just bursting dancing Shakti. And oh my gosh. I love looking at your stories on social media of you dancing at the gym. I love
Yeah,
them.
there's like people in the background, like, what is this girl doing? And I'm just like, oh yeah. My body wants to move, man.
Well, with that being said, we'll close out the podcast with the chant of one Om, followed by 3 Shantis, and hope to have you on here again.
Oh, okay.
You're incredible.
Oh, thank you, sister.
Thank you so much. Deep inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Beautiful.